This is Joy Foote. Welcome to Pine Mountain, then and now. Today is my final episode of October, so this is my last murder story for this season. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the Wild West days of Chipley. I know I had a lot of fun. I always tell people on my tours that while many, many towns have a notorious past, not every town has turned out like Pine Mountain. I feel so lucky to live here. So let's get into today's murder story. This unfortunate incident happened just 6 short months after the murder of T.T. Murrah by Ab Hasty. And if you remember, one of the friends standing with T.T. Murrah at the railroad tracks that horrible day was Mr. Charles H. Brooks. Charles Brooks helped to subdue Ab Hasty, which resulted in his arrest and likely saved the life of other townfolk. Mr. Brooks was a man everybody in the town liked, and the newspapers reported that, quote, "it was not known that he had an enemy in the world," unquote. He was the manager of C.H. Brooks and Company's ginnery and was also in the real estate business. So just 6 months after the murder of T.T. Murrah on December 4th, 1906, at about 6 o'clock in the evening, Charles Brooks was sitting alone in his parlor by the fireplace. I can imagine he was reading a book or the newspaper, maybe smoking a pipe. His wife was in the rear of the house when suddenly she was surprised to hear a gunshot. She supposed her husband or someone else was shooting at a dog. So she went to the parlor and was shocked to find his lifeless body in the chair. Charles Brooks was shot through the window with a shotgun. The shooter stood outside the window and deliberately aimed and fired at Charles Brooks. Glass shattered everywhere, and Charles Brooks was shot in the head, and it was assumed that he died instantly. The murder caused a major sensation in town. Telephone messages were sent at once to LaGrange, where they called in the bloodhounds to try and find the shooter. There were no obvious clues tying anyone to the murder. On December 14th, 10 days after the murder, Charles Hardy, a son-in-law of Brooks, was arrested for the killing. It is supposed that he killed his father-in-law to get his wife's share of the estate. He was brought to Columbus by Harris County law enforcement and placed in the Muskogee County Jail. I assume at this point the Marshal of Chipley did not want to take any chances with this alleged murderer escaping jail. Remember Ab Hasty? He escaped jail just 6 months prior and was never found. At any rate, the newspaper reported that Charles Hardy's friends defended him and said that he didn't leave Chipley to avoid arrest. I assume by this that Charles Hardy had skipped town but was either found or turned himself in. Hardy subsequently hired 2 expensive attorneys from Atlanta. In April of 1907, the trial began in the Harris Superior Court. That's right in Hamilton. The attendance at court during the trial broke all previous records. It was quite the sensation. The trial lasted a couple of weeks, and Mr. Hardy testified in his own defense. The prosecution claimed that they made a strong case based on circumstantial evidence, but the defense claimed that the state had failed to make a case at all. Hardy's attorney made the closing arguments, and when he began his argument, quote, "every ear in the courtroom was strained to hear what he was going to say," unquote. Apparently, Hardy's attorney was very charming and witty. During his closing argument, the defense attorney laughed at the case the state had made and poked holes in the prosecution's case. From all accounts, nearly everyone believed that the jury would find Hardy not guilty, and they were right. After 10.5 hours of deliberation, the jury found Charles Hardy not guilty for the murder of Charles Brooks. But the story isn't over. Some years later, Charles Hardy was arrested and tried in Troup County for lunacy. He was committed for life to the Georgia State Hospital in Milledgeville for the criminally insane and stayed there until his death over 35 years. He died in 1957 from a heart condition. If you love art, then you'll love this next event. The Pine Mountain Art and Jewelry Store is once again hosting an Art First Friday. It's on Friday, November 1st, between 5 and 7:30 p.m. The featured artist will be Ona Graham. Ona's passion for the arts includes sculpture, ceramics, and her amazing paintings. Her ceramics range from functional to whimsical, and her horse sculptures are incredibly realistic. The event is free of charge, and there will be light fare and beverages served. Bring your friends and family for a fun-filled evening to the beautiful new art and jewelry store in town. It's the Purple Building at 141 Main Avenue in Pine Mountain. You can't miss it. Some people call it the Purple Palace. Today's episode was brought to you by Tours with Joy, the guided walking tours through Pine Mountain. There are 2 tours available, the Wild West Days of Chipley and the Beautiful Murals. Check out tourswithjoy.com for details. Special thanks goes out to the Chipley Historical Center for fact-checking this episode. The beautiful art and music for the show was created by Silly Bug Studios. The next episode is on Wednesday, November 6th. Hope to see you around town.